Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from Lagos, our commercial nerve center and our global headquarters here at Channels Television. Let's bring you up to speed with the big political happenings in the country. Let's begin with the headlines. For the third time in less than 3 years, the River State's House of Assembly commences impeachment proceedings against Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy Ngozi Odo, of allegations of gross misconduct and non-budgetary expenditure. Former vice presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Dati Baba Ahmed, indicates interest for the office of the president as he visits Labour Party officials. Thanks again for joining us on the program. Right here, we track what's playing out in politics and in the polity. And today, there's going to be a big focus on River State. No matter how much you want to look away from that state, there is one drama, one day at a time. It's like one day, one drama. Now, the administration of Siminalayi Fubara is less than 3 years. So May the 29th will make it exactly 3 years. Now, that is not what is significant. What is significant is that in less than 3 years, the House of Assembly has now moved against him the third time to impeach him. And they have their reasons. Let's take a listen to the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly, Martin Zameole.
Want to present any budget, because if he wanted to, he would have brought it all this while. Siminalayi Fubara is a mistake. He is a mistake. River State has never had it this bad. In the entire Nigeria, Siminalayi Fubara and Professor Ngozi Odo, these are the only two people in the office at the sub-national level that are yet to present 2026 appropriation bill. The entire country. I'm sure if you go to the entire West African sub-region or even Africa, you will not find any sub-national government that has not presented an appropriation bill for 2026. Who would believe that in this 21st century, that a state like River State will not have an appropriation bill either presented or passed? Nothing is holding the governor from presenting it. He chose not to. And the governor has been boasting that he will always go and meet the president, for the president to call us and give us instruction. He has been boasting, he has been saying it to his followers, that this assembly were nothing but toothless bulldog, that this 10th River House assembly, we cannot do anything, we cannot enforce the constitution. This is a sad commentary for our democracy. Sir Siminalayi Fubara and Professor Odo, they are nothing but a threat to our nascent democracy. If they are allowed to remain in office, I don't know what will become of our democracy. And they are moving about from place to place, spending taxpayers' money without approval. Part of what led to other efforts to impeach them, first impeachment effort, second impeachment effort, has to do with refusal to present budget. Why were we elected? Why do we have the legislature? Why can't we be allowed to do our job? Distinguished colleagues, I thank you for your contributions. We will follow this impeachment process through. The Supreme Court has confirmed that the governor has committed offenses against the Constitution. Let the course, let the law take its course. Those in favor of the prayers of this motion should indicate by saying aye. Aye. Again say nay. The ayes have it.
So what are the issues on contention? I hope my producer can get me those basics. About 5 issues here. The allegations of gross misconduct. So reckless and unconstitutional spending of public funds, obstructing the House of Assembly from performing her constitutional duties as outlined by the 1999 Constitution, conniving to allow unauthorized persons to occupy offices without proper screening by the legitimate House of Assembly, approaching another group of people for budgetary approval instead of the legitimate River State House of Assembly, and seizure of salaries and allowances accruing to the River State House of Assembly and the Assembly Service Commission, among others. So those are the issues under contention. Well, I'm going to bring in a lawyer who is going to break down the legalese, because this is politics around legalese. There's the politics of law and the law of politics. But let me bring in our correspondent, Charles Oporom. He was right there at the chambers when this happened. Let me talk to him for about 2 minutes. Mr. Charles, thank you for staying with us.
Hi, Jeff. Good afternoon, Jeff.
I'm not sure why you're smiling, but whatever it is, maybe you can give us a few breakdown of what, you know, we are watching on television. We've seen this drama the first time, we've seen the second time. This is the third time. Is this a question of all gloves are off? I see this as now a triangle. Before now, it was similar to Fubara against Wike, although the House of Assembly said they should not call Wike. Well, we're all adults. We know what's playing out here. And then there's APC in the mix now. What do you make of this?
Okay, so I don't want to delve into those technicalities behind the scenes. I think I'll just talk about what transpired here. You know, we came here this morning. Originally, the plan was that the FCT minister was going to visit the River State House of Assembly, the Speaker's residence, this morning, as part of his thank you visit. There was originally scheduled a meeting between the Speaker, the FCT minister, and members of the Elders Council. So we knew about that. We were ready for that. But very early this morning, roughly around 6 a.m., I got a call from the HOD in charge of communications saying, oh, there's a slight change of plans. It's no longer going to happen at the Speaker's residence. It's now going to happen here at the Assembly quarters where they've been seating, you know. And I said, okay, fine. Maybe, is there a reason for that? He said, because of space. There's not enough space at the Speaker's residence. Jeff, trust me, we did not know that this was coming. They blindsided everybody. And we got here, I saw the Sergeant at Arms, I saw, you know, the whole paraphernalia, the support staff, and all members of the Assembly dressed, you know, coming in one by one. And then I asked, I said, is there a seating happening here, or is it still the visit of the FCT minister? You know, and then I got these smiles, you know, and I was able to take a sneak peek at the other paper. And what was written on the other paper was actually a motion to decline assent to the medium-term expenditure framework. You know, I saw that and I said, okay, all right, okay, maybe that's what's going to happen, you know. And then next thing we hear, you know, the Speaker comes in and the majority leader of the House starts impeachment proceedings. You know, recall that when the state of emergency was called off, the Assembly sat and asked the governor to confirm whether or not he was going to present another budget, you know, that will run from September to December, or he was going to keep running with the budget that was approved by the National Assembly. The governor ignored them. He did not reply. They also asked the governor to confirm whether or not he was going to send, no, not confirm. They asked the governor to send his commissioner nominees to the Assembly. You know, once again, he ignored them. So these things have angered the Assembly, you know. So far, they feel like the governor does not regard them and has not learned any lessons, and that's why they commence impeachment proceedings. 7 items on that list of notice of allegations of gross misconduct were listed against the governor. 7 were also listed against the deputy governor. So the governor has 7 days from the receipt of that letter to reply in writing. We're waiting to see what his reply is going to be. Jeff.
Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. We just needed to know what played out beyond what we saw on camera. But thank you, Charles Oporom, our correspondent in Port Harcourt, River State. Let's bring in my guest, who is a lawyer, Jide Ologun. He's a legal practitioner. Mr. Jide, you know, it's if you go online and hear what people are saying, that rivers all over again. So we've been here 3 years, less than 3 years of the governor's There's enough blame to go around, but I don't want to drag you into politics. Let's stay around the law. They are within their constitutional right to commence the impeachment process, as long as they can establish gross misconduct, according to Section 188. Yes, there is also the part of the argument to the effect that the governor can spend extra without an appropriation for 6 months into a new year, but it cannot exceed what was appropriated in the previous year. That's according to 122. But let me allow you make your own interpretation of what is playing out here. 3 times 1 too many?
Absolutely. You know, for politicians, not enough, because it appears as if a crisis may be part of politics in Nigeria. And permit me to start from the angle of history. You recall the 1962 political crisis in the action group between Awolowo and Akintola, you know. And at that point in time, while Chief Obafemi Awolowo was pushing for party supremacy, Akintola was pushing for a government supremacy, and it led to the violent interpretations of politics, the Operation Wete that is still strongly in many people's memories. And eventually, it resulted into the 1966 coup that dislodged the political process and launched Nigeria into the civil war that ended around 1970. So you find that politics is basically about power play, and many other considerations are pushed aside. And then talking about the Constitution, yes, the House of Assembly has the mandate to impeach the governor if the allegations can be sustained. We've had, like, the year 2006 was like a bouquet of impeachment. That was the year when Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State, Dariye of Plateau State, from Peter Obi, then the present Olubadan was the governor in Oyo State at that time. He was also, they were all impeached from office. So, and now, whether those allegations can also be sustained, because by virtue of Section 188 of the Nigerian Constitution 1999 as amended, it's not an easy process, though a possible process, because Fubara also may come up with making reference to the peculiar political situation in Rivers State right now, you know, which all started based on the battle between Wike, the former governor, who has declared, of course, like a typical politician, that having Fubara return to office for second term will give him political burial. You see, so politicians want to exercise their hold on the power, and there are many dynamic political novelty realities in Rivers State now. For instance, we now have the Rainbow Coalition, and Wike is challenging all the other states in the country to try and put it in place. And the Rainbow Coalition is saying there are no political parties in Rivers State. It's just the Renew Hope family. So let all parties...
That is politicians' absurdity. That is not democracy. We have the right to do whatever I want.
Exactly. Yeah. So those are the issues. So right now, politically speaking, there's a huge unrest and in Rivers State, and I will advise stakeholders to watch it keenly, because you see, the economic impact is negative on that region.
Yeah, I want you to speak to what the assembly members are not happy over. And I think there's merit in the argument.
Exactly.
Because when we look at politics, so I've been going back. In 2024 into 2023 into 2024, the governor has presented a budget to a house of 4, led by, I think, Edison Ehie. That's when all of this crisis started. So that budget, I think, was about either 800 billion or so. And then the next year, now, I'm just looking at the surface level now. The next year, which was 2024 into 2025, the number of persons who passed the appropriation bill even reduced further to 3. Victor Kojombo led house. And we now know, we knew all that played out. Now, the current budget they are running on was passed by the National Assembly because they, politicians, could not put their acts together.
State of emergency.
And state of emergency and all of that. So let's look at their concern. Their very first concern is that they are angry, which is a legitimate anger. If you ask anyone, why are you spending without an appropriation? Now, correspondents said they had written to the governor to say, okay, do you want to continue with the one passed by the National Assembly? Send names of people, let's screen them. It looks like, I don't know whether the governor ignored them and all of that. So let's speak to their concern.
Absolutely. You know, in civic study, we learned about checks and balances, that there are 3 arms of government. And absolutely, even within the legislative arm, there are control mechanisms, which is the appropriation that you mentioned. And of course, Fubara is expected to present the budget. But again, going back, the backdrop of all the battles that went on and all the way to the Supreme Court, at the point Fubara himself was saying it was not easy for him accessing the House of Assembly.
Yeah, there was a back and forth. There was a time they wanted him to present. He didn't present. When he was now ready, they were now exchanging letters. So
you see,
that led to this
I think
declaration of a state of emergency.
Political situation has created a cloud that cannot present a clear picture. But going by the ideals of constitutionalism is a strong allegation. And that is why recently Wike was saying that Fubara is being miscounseled by some stakeholders. You see, even when you are in a battle, you need to ensure that you are on the right track, because once these allegations are prompted, he's defending why he has not done the needful will not be substantiated by the political environment. And that's a strong issue. And that is why I listed it.
Did you present the budget?
Exactly, you know, and it may be a tight one for him. And again, having some political appointees without recourse to the House of Assembly and things like that. So by and large, on the scale of idealism, yes, he should be answerable to the House of Assembly on those allegations. But have we come to the ideal situation in the country? Because if indeed we have started practicing idealism, the former sole administrator should come and account to the same House of Assembly how he's
they were calling for it at
exactly.
Some point and they left off.
And you know what I mean. So River State scenario, it's a unique one in the country. And if you approach it from the angle of power play, some are saying now that it's between APC, PDP, the presidential ambition of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in 2027, the interplay of state and federal power. And so where is he heading? Because already, you know that some members of the House of Assembly defected to APC even before the governor came. And declaring the governor as the head of APC in Rivers State is not a sweet honey to Wike, who is still interested in managing the political structure and the power base and the grassroots structure in Rivers State. And now, those who are in APC, because Wike is yet to move to APC, some of them are saying, can you be in PDP and be dictating to us in APC? So it's a very dicey one now for Fubara. But by and large, Fubara, as the governor, is answerable to the House of Assembly. And to what extent the president will interfere now, I do not know. Because, again, he has his own political interest in all this, you see. And some are even calling on the president to sack Wike or whatever. But you know the ways of politicians. So those are our...
But so generally... In your view, I'm doing my best not to drag you into politics. I just want to keep you around the law.
We must all be in politics.
So somehow.
It's what
but
affects
if you want me
society.
to drag you in, let's so, by and large, it looks like the law cannot solve the problem of River State. We've seen too many absurdity to go round from both the Wike camp and the Fubara camp as far as this politics of River State in the last less than 3 years is concerned, to the point that the president has come in, the Supreme Court has come in, a state of emergency has been declared, controversial elections, controversial budget passage. I can go on and on and on and on, because it looks like everybody is grandstanding. What, in your view, say from the law end, and maybe if you want to comment on politics, can resolve this issue, or we have gone past the the point of resolution? Because Wike is saying, look, this governor cannot come back. Now he wants to control the PDP and the APC. Bashir Ajibola, the APC scribe, I said, you can't do that here. Last time we checked, your name is not here. So in case you're that passionate about your state to control, leave our government.
Resign
and go and face your River State.
You come in fully.
No, he didn't invite him. He told him to go. So what do you make of it?
You see, like you brilliantly mentioned, the law has tried, but the law has not done enough. because I expect that in an ideal society, I like to use that expression, that even the arson, the issue of setting part of the House of Assembly structure on fire, the killings during the local government elections, the blasting of the pipelines. As a chief superintendent of police, one thing we learned is that every crime leaves a footprint. Who has been arrested or even interrogated or investigated or prosecuted
Since
for
that
these
incident?
issues? Yeah. So you see the role of politics now, you know, and all the interventions, because one of the positions of Wiki now is that there were agreements. And the law should also ask, what are these agreements?
So at least we know one of the agreements. There are agreements, I can tell you for a fact, given where I sit and what we know, that there are certain agreements that can never come to public domain because it's definitely not going to be in the interest of the public. Those are what politicians amongst themselves. But at least there's one we are now aware of. Perhaps the man has said, in resolving this issue on this impasse, I will no longer seek elective office in 2027, which is what Wike is standing by. He was saying in one of his rallies, he said, we will support the president, that is non-debatable, but you see this local one, I'm using his word. So I just wanted to be clear that don't speculate, I'm telling you what the agreement was, so you can speak to it.
I know, you see, that's my concern. Now, where is the democracy? Is it Wike that will determine who is elected, or the electorate? Because the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria states clearly that sovereignty belongs to the people. And that is why we are beginning to complain about apathy in the country. So politicians may be creating a new system of politocracy, not democracy. Government of politicians, by politicians, and for politicians. And this should be a serious interest issue for the government. And that is why I spoke that to what extent can the law help us in this scenario? Because such statements should be investigated. By what authority are you saying?
Because his argument is to the fact that the gentleman was a political neophyte. No one knew him. He picked him up, appealed to the many interests that wanted to be governor, said, let this guy be governor. So when he did that, nobody said he was picking anybody. Now he says the guy is not going to run for a second term. Why are you? Isn't that a valid argument politically?
Okay.
I'm just playing the devil's advocate here.
I know, respectfully so, was Minister Nyesom Wike born a political giant? Was he not also groomed? Did he not pass through the tutelage of Amechi? Did he not make Amechi irrelevant? You know what I
okay, sir, we're totally out of time, sir. So do you think that this latest move by Nyesom Wike, which looks like all gloves are off, is a direct affront on President Bola Tinubu, given that Fubara has attached himself to the president and is not a member of the APC?
If it were to be within the military circle, Wike will be labeled as ambitious. So I wanted to go and study how ambitious personalities are treated in the military. And the APC position now is that we have an ambitious man rocking the boat. And some will be speaking to the president, watch this man. You see, but again, the political interest of the president concerning 2027 is another thing, and the level of influence Wike still has in Rivers State is subject to the people of Rivers State, because he has come up now with the Rainbow Coalition. But my major concern is that where is the interest of the citizens? Because economically, in terms of driving foreign direct investment, Rivers State is regressing. What you should see as development, or my question on my way here was even that, do the citizens, those who hail them, run after them, do they understand the concept of development? All right, sir. What the oil-rich region deserves.
We will continue this conversation, but not today. We're going to keep watching. Didio Logo is a legal practitioner joining us right here in our Lagos City. Thank you so much. Interesting days. Some of us who know that environment pretty well, we know the battle just started.
Exactly.
But nobody should die.
It end somewhere. That's why I started with history. They should go and study Awolowo and Akintola, and the two of them are no longer around anymore now. So.
History. All right. Thank you so much for your time and, of course, your usual company. We'll continue to keep tab on what's playing out in politics across the nation. I'm Jeffrey Uzanga. Bye-bye.